I saw my brother-in-law Mark laughing, and my stomach dropped. It was that fake forced laugh he did when he was hiding something. But what could he possibly be hiding? It all started at the family reunion. Could I have ever imagined the chaos that would follow? The annual Miller family reunion. Ugh. Held at Aunt Carol's ridiculously oversized house, complete with an Olympic-sized pool no one ever used, and enough floral wallpaper to make you dizzy. 2 days of forced smiles, awkward small talk, and pretending to care about Uncle Jerry's stamp collection. I usually just tried to survive it, but this year felt different. The first day was standard reunion fare. Burgers, potato salad, sunburns, and the constant drone of relatives asking about my non-existent love life. But then, on Sunday morning, Aunt Carol went pale. "The money," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The reunion fund. It's gone. $5,000. Vanished. That's a lot of burgers and potato salad." Aunt Carol had been collecting donations all year, meticulously tracking every cent in a worn-out ledger. Now it was all just gone. Everyone was shocked, of course. Accusations flew around like angry wasps. Uncle Jerry blamed the caterers. My cousin Brenda immediately suspected the neighbors' kids. I tried to stay out of it, but the tension was thick enough to cut with a butter knife. And then Mark laughed. Just a short, sharp burst of amusement, quickly masked with a cough. But I saw it, the way his eyes flickered, the slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. It wasn't a sympathetic laugh. It was knowing. What did he know? "Maybe Carol just misplaced it," he said, patting her awkwardly on the shoulder. "Happens to the best of us, right?" But Aunt Carol wasn't buying it. Neither was I. Something was definitely off. That night, after the reunion, he'd always been a little shady, full of get-rich-quick schemes that never quite worked out. My sister, Sarah, his wife, seemed oblivious, blinded by love or maybe just tired of arguing with him. I decided I needed to do some digging, but where to start? I started by subtly questioning Sarah. "So how's Mark doing?" I asked casually, stirring sugar into my coffee. "Oh, the same," she sighed. "Always chasing some new opportunity. He's been talking about this investment thing. Something about blockchain and crypto. Honestly, it all goes over my head." Blockchain and crypto. Red flags were popping up everywhere. Mark had always been fascinated by anything that promised fast money. I knew I had to look into this. I logged into my laptop, a sleek rose gold model, and started searching. First, I checked public records. No lawsuits, no bankruptcies, nothing too alarming. But then I remembered something. Sarah had mentioned a new app Mark had been using, something called Crypto Boost. I downloaded the app on my phone, creating a burner account with a fake email address. The app itself looked legit, professional even. It promised high returns on crypto investments with minimal risk. Too good to be true, obviously. As I dug deeper, I found a hidden forum within the app, a place where users shared tips and strategies. And that's where I saw it. A post from a user named Mark M2025, bragging about a recent windfall. The post detailed how he'd managed to manipulate the market by spreading false rumors about a new coin. It was all incredibly technical, but the gist was clear. He was scamming people. My blood ran cold. My own brother-in-law, a con artist. But how could he afford to invest in crypto in the first place? Where did he get the initial capital? That's when I remembered the missing reunion fund. Could it be? Could Mark have stolen Aunt Carol's money to fuel his crypto scam? The thought made me sick. I closed the app, my hands shaking. What would you do if you were me? Confront him directly? Tell Sarah? Go to the police? I felt paralyzed. I decided to start with Sarah. I knew it would be a difficult conversation, but she deserved to know the truth about her husband. I arranged to meet her for lunch at a small cafe with free Wi-Fi and glass walls, a popular spot for influencers to record their daily vlogs, a reality I was getting increasingly used to in 2025. "Sarah, I need to talk to you about Mark," I said, as soon as she sat down. Her face clouded over. "Oh no, what's he done now?" I hesitated. I think he might be involved in something illegal." I told her everything about the missing money, the crypto boost app, the incriminating post. She listened in silence, her eyes wide with disbelief. When I finished, she just stared at me, her face pale. I don't believe it," she stammered. "Mark would never do something like that." "Sarah, I saw the post myself. He's bragging about scamming people. Maybe it's not him. Maybe someone is using his name." I wanted to believe her, I really did. But I knew in my heart that it was Mark. I pulled out my phone and showed her the post. She read it slowly, her face crumpling. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Oh, Mark," she whispered. "What have you done?" She agreed to confront him, but she wanted to do it alone. I offered to be there for her, but she insisted. "I need to hear it from him myself," she said. "I need to know if it's true." This I kept checking my phone, waiting for a text from Sarah. "Meet me at the park. I need to talk to you." The park was nearly deserted, the sky overcast and gloomy. Sarah was sitting on a bench, her face red and blotchy. She'd been crying. "It's true," she said, her voice hoarse. He admitted it. He took the money from Aunt Carol. He said he was going to pay it back, that it was just a temporary loan. But he lost it all, didn't he?" I finished for her. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "He's ruined us, Claire. He's ruined everything." I put my arm around her, trying to comfort her. I wanted to hate Mark, I really did. But all I felt was pity, and a deep sense of unease, because I knew this wasn't the end of the story, not by a long shot. Sarah decided to leave Mark. She packed her bags and moved in with me temporarily, her life in pieces. Mark, meanwhile, was spiraling. He lost his job, his friends, his wife. He became a pariah in the family, but he still hadn't repaid the money. Aunt Carol was devastated, not just by the loss of the funds, but by the betrayal of a family member. She considered pressing charges, but Sarah begged her not to. "Please, Aunt Carol," she pleaded. "He's already lost everything. Don't ruin his life completely." Aunt Carol reluctantly agreed, but she made it clear that she expected the money to be repaid. Every single cent. I thought that was the end of it. That Mark would eventually hit rock bottom, learn his lesson, and maybe, just maybe, start to rebuild his life. But I was wrong, so wrong. One evening, I received an anonymous message on my phone. It was a single sentence. "You should stop digging." I stared at the message, my heart pounding. Who sent it? How did they know I was investigating Mark? Fear washed over me, cold and clammy. I showed the message to Sarah, who was equally terrified. We immediately changed our phone numbers and installed a top-rated cybersecurity app with AI threat detection. You can't be too careful these days. But the messages didn't stop. They became more frequent, more threatening. They knew things about me, about Sarah, about our family. It was clear that someone was watching us. I decided to hire a private investigator. His name was David, a grizzled ex-cop with a no-nonsense attitude. I explained the situation to him, showed him the messages, and told him about Mark's involvement in the crypto scam. "I think he's in over his head," I said. "I think he's mixed up with some dangerous people." David nodded grimly. "This sounds like more than just a simple con," he said. "I'll look into it." He started by digging into Mark's finances. He traced his bank accounts, his crypto wallets, his online transactions. And what he found was shocking. Mark wasn't just running a small-time scam. He was part of a much larger operation, a sophisticated network of criminals who were using crypto to launder money. And the money they were laundering? It wasn't just from small-time investors. It was from drug dealers, arms smugglers, and even politicians. Mark was involved with some seriously dangerous people. David warned me to be careful. "This is getting too dangerous for you," he said. "Let me handle it from here." But I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. My family was in danger. Sarah was in danger. I had to do something. I decided to confront Mark one last time. I knew it was risky, but I had to know the truth. I arranged to meet him at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. It was a desolate, creepy place, the kind of place where bad things happened. Rain pattered on the tin roof, adding to the sense of unease. Mark looked terrible. He was pale, unshaven, and his eyes were bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "What do you want, Claire?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "I know everything, Mark," I said. "I know about the money laundering. I know about the people you're involved with." He didn't deny it. He just hung his head shamefaced. "I didn't mean for things to get this bad," he said. "I just wanted to make some money. I wanted to provide for Sarah." "You stole from your own family, Mark. You put all of us in danger." I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." He started to cry, his body shaking with sobs. I felt a flicker of sympathy, but I quickly suppressed it. He had made his choices. He had to live with the consequences. "Who are these people, Mark?" I asked. "Who are you working with?" He hesitated. "I can't tell you," he said. "They'll kill me." "They'll kill you anyway, Mark. They'll kill all of us. You have to tell me." He looked at me, his eyes filled with terror. Okay, he said. "I'll tell you everything." He started to talk, pouring out his story in a torrent of words. He told me about the people he was working with, their names, their methods, their plans. He told me everything he knew. As he spoke, I noticed a figure lurking in the shadows, a tall, menacing man with a gun. He was pointing it at Mark. "Mark, look out!" I screamed. But it was too late. The man fired. Mark slumped to the ground, a look of shock on his face. I screamed again, my voice echoing through the warehouse. The man turned and ran, disappearing into the darkness. I rushed to Mark's side, but it was clear that he was already gone. He lay there lifeless, his eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. I was alone in the warehouse, with the dead body of my brother-in-law. I didn't know what to do. I was terrified. I called the police, my hands shaking. I told them everything that had happened, about the money laundering, about the threats, about the man with the gun. They arrived quickly, sirens blaring. The warehouse was soon swarming with officers, crime scene investigators, and reporters. I gave my statement to the police, recounting the events of the evening. They took me back to the station for questioning, where I spent the police launched a full-scale investigation into Mark's death and the money laundering operation he was involved in. They arrested several suspects, including some high-ranking officials. Sarah was devastated by Mark's death, but she was also relieved that the nightmare was... The reunion fund was eventually recovered, and Aunt Carol was able to breathe a sigh of relief. But the experience left a lasting scar on our family. The trust was broken, perhaps irreparably. As for me, I learned a valuable lesson, that even the people you think you know best can be capable of anything. That money can corrupt even the closest of relationships, and that sometimes the only way to protect your family is to expose their darkest secrets. But the story wasn't over. One day, a package arrived at my door. Inside was a USB drive. I plugged it into my computer, and a video file started playing. It was Mark, recorded just days before his death. "Claire," he said, his voice weak but determined. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt a lot of people, but I wanted to do one last thing to make things right. This USB drive contains evidence that will expose the entire money laundering operation. It will bring down some very powerful people. Please, Claire, don't let them get away with it." The video ended. I sat there in silence, my heart pounding. What would you do? Would you risk your life to expose these criminals? Or would you bury the evidence and try to forget it all? I knew what I had to do. I couldn't let Mark's death be in vain. I couldn't let these criminals get away with their crimes. I copied the files from the USB drive and sent them to the authorities, along with a detailed account of everything I knew. The authorities acted quickly, launching a series of raids and arresting dozens of suspects. The money laundering operation was shut down, and the criminals were brought to justice. It was a long and difficult process, but in the end, justice prevailed. Mark's death was avenged, and our family was... I learned that sometimes the greatest acts of courage are the ones that require us to betray those we love. That loyalty can be a dangerous thing, especially when it blinds us to the truth. And that forgiveness is not always possible, but it is always worth striving for. I don't know if Sarah will ever forgive Mark. I don't know if Aunt Carol will ever fully recover from the betrayal. But I do know that we are all stronger now, wiser now, more resilient now. And that, in the end, is all that matters. The world of 2025 is a dangerous place, filled with hidden threats and complex moral dilemmas. But it is also a place of hope, of resilience, and of the enduring power of the human spirit. What I learned from all this is that your family can betray you, your trust can be shattered, and your world can be turned upside down in an instant. And it made me ask, what is family? A sacred bond or a cage? I looked at my sister. I made a choice, and I exposed the truth. I chose to protect her and my whole family, even if it meant tearing apart the lies that had kept us together for so long. Now, I feel free, lighter, and more alive than I've felt in years. And now, it's your turn. What would you have done? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories. Thank you for watching. It's been almost a year since everything happened. Sarah's doing much better. She got a new job as a user interface designer for a company developing augmented reality experiences. Something totally up her street. Remember how I said the old building was swarming with officers? I can still picture the flashing neon city lights reflecting off the rain-slicked streets that night as I was being questioned. Honestly, it felt like a scene ripped straight out of a true crime show, except it was my life. What was once a distant idea of the world became an immediate experience, so close that it suffocated. I felt like I was drowning in a wave of flashing blue and red lights, overwhelmed by the shouts and whispers of strangers. The questions were relentless. Did I know anything about Mark's business dealings? Had he mentioned any names? Was I aware of any threats against him? I answered as honestly as I could, but I still felt like they suspected me of something. Like maybe I was somehow involved in his criminal activities, which, by the way, sounds ridiculous, but is always a possibility. Could you imagine being suspected of something as terrible as being linked to the murder of my own brother-in-law? Even after they released me, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I kept seeing the same black sedan parked down the street, its windows tinted so dark you couldn't see inside. I started taking different routes to work, checking my rearview mirror every few seconds. I knew it sounded paranoid, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still after me. One day, I got a call from David, the private investigator. He said he had something important to tell me. We met at a small diner, the kind with red vinyl booths and greasy spoons. I've been digging into Mark's past, he said, stirring his coffee, and I found something interesting. Turns out, he wasn't just laundering money. He was also involved in a blackmail scheme. He explained that Mark had been collecting compromising information on powerful people, using it to extort them for money. He'd been living a double life for years, juggling his legitimate job with his criminal activities. He was playing a dangerous game, David said, and he lost. David revealed this scheme also involved my mother and father. They used his company to funnel money from a failing business venture, which was something I wasn't prepared to hear. I was sitting in the booth, a cafe with glass walls, and almost dropped my coffee as I heard the news. A wave of vertigo took me. My parents? Involved in blackmail, I managed to say after a pause. David said, they have no idea Mark was blackmailing people using them. Mark probably tried to steal from them, and things got heated, or... He paused, seemingly unsure if he should continue. Or what? I asked. Or perhaps they found out, and that's the reason he turned up dead. I wouldn't rule anything out at this point, he said solemnly. I remember feeling a profound sense of disappointment. disappointment that my parents were involved in this, and also that Mark was involved in all of it. It was an ugly stain on our family history, a secret that would forever haunt us. "What do I do, David?" I asked. "Tell the truth, Claire. They won't be in danger if you go to the police." I thought long and hard about what he said. My parents had lost their way in the endless pursuit of money, my mother with her pristine reputation, and my father, the pillar of our community, reduced to accomplices in a seedy underbelly. Their desperation to keep their business afloat had led them down a dark path, one paved with deceit and moral compromise. How could they have been so blind? Didn't they realize the consequences of their actions? I had to make a choice. Should I protect them, shielding them from the repercussions of their mistakes? Or should I expose them, forcing them to face the consequences of their actions? It was a dilemma that tore at my soul. A battle between loyalty and justice. What would you have done? As usual, it screamed safety and calm, which was ironic considering the storm brewing beneath the surface. I sat them down at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared countless meals, celebrated birthdays, and weathered family crises. Now it felt like a battlefield, the site of an impending confrontation. "I know about Mark," I said, my voice trembling. "I know about the blackmail scheme, and I know that you were involved." My mother's face crumpled. My father remained stoic, his jaw clenched tight. "Claire, how could you?" my mother whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "We did what we thought was best," my father said, his voice low. "We were trying to save our business." "At what cost?" I asked, my voice rising. "At the cost of your integrity? At the cost of your family?" "We didn't know what Mark was doing," my mother said, her voice pleading. "We swear we didn't know." I wanted to believe them, but I couldn't. I'd seen the evidence. I knew the truth. "I'm going to the police," I said. "I'm going to tell them everything," my mother screamed. My father lunged at me, grabbing my arm. "You can't do that," he shouted. "You'll ruin us." I wrenched my arm away from him. "You ruined yourselves," I said. I left their house, my heart heavy with sadness,